Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on weird and true mysterious stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Would you like even more content? Here's my Patreon. Now onto the stories.
Case file number 1156, written by Jortles. Unraveling the mystery of the Oregon storm. My dad and I were driving through Oregon in the middle of the night during a storm. We had taken the wrong road and were driving on a one-lane road through the mountains. No houses, no cars, not even cell phone service, nothing but trees around. There was the odd flash of lightning, but mostly just heavy rain. As we turn a bend over the ridge of a forested hill to our left, we see the sky strobing like lightning, but in a continuous, perfect rhythm. I ask my dad what it is, but he shrugs and continues to concentrate on driving through the storm. We continue on past the hill, and it opens up into a valley where we finally see the source of the strobing light. Above the trees, maybe 50 feet up, was a large, 20 to 30 foot-ish in diameter ball of blue light. Difficult to tell the exact size, as it was still a fair distance away. Perfectly round, just hovering there. The strobing was coming from a single bolt of what I can only describe as lightning coming from the bottom of the ball and hitting the same tree over and over again and lighting up the sky. My dad and I watched it as we passed, and it continued on flashing until we rounded another bend and it was out of sight. To this day, we have no idea what it was that we saw.
Case notes for file 1156. Unraveling the mystery of the Oregon storm. What I find fascinating here is you don't describe any sort of exaggerated or extreme noise. Thunder is caused by the rapid expansion of the air as it becomes superheated by the lightning bolt, which means if there was no particular thunder from this continual discharge, that it was very low voltage, it wasn't superheating the air. You could probably have touched the bolt, so to speak, and it wouldn't have affected you. Ball lightning comes to mind here, but I've never heard one described as being so big and also so perfectly round. Usually there's like reverberations of it, there's crackling energy coming off of it. It's not a perfectly spherical blue ball. What you describe is hundreds of times larger than a normal ball lightning, which in of itself is exceedingly rare. Could this be a technological test or evidence of alien presence in that area? Maybe. Or maybe it's an ensemble, a gathering of spiritual energy. Which I do postulate the possibility that ball lightning is a type of spiritual energy that's condensed and emitting visible light that we see as a blue ball. What if a bunch of spirits gathered together? But what would they be doing in the middle of nowhere in Oregon? I don't know.
Bonus file written by Tweeterror, The Mysterious Connection to the Other Side. When I was a toddler, I was living with my grandmother. One day, I woke up unusually early in the morning. It was still kind of dark outside, and I had dreamed of my great-grandmother and just felt kind of weird. I went downstairs to tell my grandmother, and she said, "I got a weird feeling too. I'll go see if she's okay. You stay here and have breakfast, okay?" But little me just couldn't withstand the feeling in my guts, and she was worried too, right? So I silently followed after her. It was just down 2 streets. When my grandma went into her house, I caught up with her, and she told me to at least stay at the bottom of the stairs. Of course, I wouldn't have come this far, so after a minute, I snuck up the stairs. The first room on the left, behind the stairs, was my great-grandma's bedroom. She was in bed, smiling as best she could as she told my grandma she loved her. She didn't even notice me as she took her last breath. But my grandma noticed me and hugged me in tears. It felt so right to be there. My grandmother was there for her mother, and I was there for her, and it just felt like she had called us there, waking us up even. Granny wasn't even mad. We went to church that day, lit up a candle, and were both grieving together.
Case notes for the bonus file, The Mysterious Connection to the Other Side. So this is the beauty of life, sentience, consciousness. We're connected on a deeper level to each other, especially those we love. How else can anyone explain this? You both knew, felt it in your gut via a connection from your subconscious, interacting with the same fields that your great-grandmother was interacting with too. She was literally sending you like a text message, a spiritual text message. Wake up, come, I'm gonna pass on. Just feeding you that information about what was happening, so you wouldn't miss that final breath. It's what she wanted. And while it is very sad, it's also cathartic, I think. You would have both felt much worse if you weren't there, I think.
Bonus file written by Anonymous, The Ghostly Pencil. My wife and I stayed at a nice hotel in downtown Pittsburgh. It was where I asked her to marry me after a lavish meal. I picked the room because it came with a huge Japanese soaking tub that me, a 6'1" man, could barely see over the edge of. Anyway, the first night we stayed there, we were sleeping in the single king bed. I believe the alarm clock said it was 2 or 3 a.m. To my left, and just a few feet from me, I heard the sound of what seemed like a pencil slowly rolling down a sloped surface. It was so deliberate and loud that it woke us both up. It was also so deliberate that while my heart thumped in my chest from the sudden noise, I quickly convinced myself that it was a pencil sliding off the desk in our room, and I went back to sleep. The next morning, to my surprise, I found that A, there were no pencils in the room, and B, there was no desk. It was my first night in the room, so I assumed that it, like the other hotels, had a place to sit and write. Well, that was not the case. The only thing I could find to write with were ballpoint pens with their caps on. They wouldn't make that distinctive, loud noise that a ridged wooden pencil makes as it rolls. Furthermore, there was no sloped surface in the room for anything to suddenly roll off of in the middle of the night or morning. The whole thing was weird enough for us to talk about it that morning. I do not believe in ghosts, but to be honest, I'd love to encounter something unexplained. I entertained the idea of a ghost pencil, but knew in my head it had an explanation grounded in reality, but that's not all that happened. That night, we were both in the soaking tub. The water was up to my chin. It was great. We were in the middle of February, a cold and miserable month in Pittsburgh. We were sloshing around in the tub, having a blast, pretending we were rich. And then, from the other room, we heard the buzzing of an old microphone hooked up to a PA system. Basically, the sound of feedback that precedes an announcement. The whole room filled with the buzzing sound of a microphone feedback. Our hearts thumped in our chests yet again, and then we both practically jumped out of our own skins. We heard the distinctive sound of someone blowing into a microphone to test it. Oh, Woody! You could see it in your head. It was so distinctive, just like the pencil. My heart went from thumping wildly to thrumming like a hummingbird's. Naked, I leapt from the tub and threw a towel around myself. That was a man blowing into a microphone, I said. My wife stayed in the tub, scared and quiet. I searched our room and did not find a speaker or any kind of speaker grill embedded into a wall or the ceiling. We could not, for the life of us, find a potential source for the sound other than an iPhone speaker that was already playing music from my iPhone. So that was our story. We still had one more night. We were exhilarated by our engagement and the ghosts that haunted the hotel. A week later, I had the thought to email the hotel. I asked them about their building. Pittsburgh is an old town, and downtown Pittsburgh is a very, very old town. They got back to me and explained, as my jaw dropped, that they used to be an old telephone factory. I don't know why I found meaning in that explanation or why it made everything click so well, but my thoughts immediately went to the sounds of a factory, the PA system, the drafting table, all relics from another time in that building's life.
Case notes for the bonus file, The Ghostly Pencil. I couldn't even articulate how I'd feel if I heard a microphone noise in my own hotel room. Even believing in many supernatural forces, I'd at least get the room changed up. Well, that said, maybe the soaking tub was good enough to offset that. It sounds divine. Something kind of funny, thinking about ghosts and spirits, they're usually invisible, right? Their presence was not always felt. What if a few of them are, well, peeping Toms, let's say? What else are you going to do with your time besides watch some adult entertainment? I don't know. Watch video games? People play video games? Maybe. And now time for the quote of the day. For a list of all the ways technology has failed to improve the quality of life, please press 3. Alice Kahn. Yes, waiting online. Oh my god, and that terrible phone music that they use. I know it's royalty free, there's no real need to improve it, and they don't even want you hanging on the line really, so why not make the music as annoying as possible, right? But yes, this is not exactly the best improvement, although there is an actual improvement to this where Some places will have you have an option to just call you back instead of having you wait online, which makes total sense. Everyone should do that. But I guess it's an extra cost, I don't know. If it's easy to implement, everyone should do that. Kinetic Symphony signing off.